So remember in my last video when I said once I get a bee in my bonnet about something, I find it very, very hard to forget about? Stay tuned, I'll tell you what happened.
Fit him with a restraining bolt. You're a feisty little one.
I mentioned in my last vlog video that I couldn't unsee the issue with this. So yesterday I spent the day reconstructing the torso. So let me just move the camera out the way a bit. Yeah, but you know what? It's actually worked out really, really good. So what I did was I increased the length of these straps here, actually cut them off completely and added 6 centimeters. 6 centimeters is probably a little bit too big, but overall I think the gap in the chest looks a lot better. It's difficult to get this to look exactly proportionate to the real 3PO because I've used bigger arm holes, and so a lot of the proportions are a little bit odd, and the neck ring is a lot bigger to fit me. So in that respect, a lot of these proportions are not going to be completely correct anyway. But what I've done is I've managed to oversize this gap at the front here. If you probably remember before, this level here was about there, so that was a very, very small gap. The reason that this gap needs to be so big, there's a little junction box that goes right in the middle there, and all these wires just come belching out of that section. And one of the main parts of this costume that I love so much is that detail and how it's going to look when it's attached to my undersuit. So that's why I've put made that hole bigger, because there's a lot of detail like wiring and stuff that goes in here, and I really wanted that to look like there was a lot of depth, as if there's no one underneath. So that's why I had to make that larger. So in the process of making that gap larger, then I discovered that all of these side pieces were not going to work, and then it's a bit hard to see in this video, but another thing that I had to do to fix all of this was actually angle the shoulder rings inwards a little bit at the top. So it's not super easy to see. You can kind of see there how it's like narrower at the top than it is at the base. So I had to basically separate this side because this was all attached to the back half. So that was a bit of a challenge getting that separated, and I kind of wish that I didn't have to do it, but I'm really happy that I managed to get this built the way it is. I added a little wedge that wraps around from the bottom, so it's a 3 centimeter increase to the underarm of the ring, and then it contours around to the top. So that's given it the perfect angle, which is really nice. And the reason I had to do that was because my original details on the sides here were actually really bad, and I wasn't really happy with them at all, because that kind of flared out section, this piece here, is meant to end on the top edge of the ring, and I had them sort of jutting out from the side here like this, which was actually wrong and I didn't like it. But reconstructing all of this meant that I was able to actually fix the frame. These pieces here didn't exist before. In fact, I had my old side piece with the bolts on it kind of attached, I think is that a bit of a scar there where it was connected before, and it sort of was all wrong. And this section here I had to change as well to meet that. But what I've ended up being able to do, and I mentioned earlier in one of my other videos that I had to fix my hook system to connect the suit together. Well, what I've managed to do is, because I've redesigned all of this to, you know, look more correct, I was able to basically use the bottom bolt to be a connection point. So that is much stronger. It's really simple to put on and off, and it works really nicely. So that's been a huge improvement, which I'm really happy about. So that's all worked out really nicely. You can see that it's got a really good flare, which is how it should have been in the first place. But I've also managed to make these side pieces like really neat and basically exact on both sides, which before they were a bit odd. So that's turned out really nice. I had to also change the line of the back here, because before that was a little bit more straight, and then to add this section in, I just sort of trimmed that off straight, and that looks a lot nicer now when I'm wearing it. There's also a lot more space in here, so there'll be plenty of room for me to have all my wires cascading down on my sides. So on the back of the Droid, in some of the pictures, it's very hard to see. Like I said before, there's really not a lot of reference images of what the Droid looks like at the back, so I've had to take some creative liberties here and just kind of do my own thing based on some of my little... every time I go to show you my little Droid, he's always hiding somewhere. Oh wait, here he is. Based on the back of this Droid, mine is sort of a little bit like that, but a little bit different as well. So like I said, I had to take some creative liberties and redesign this just to suit me, and you know, I don't think anyone really cares, to be honest, but that's all. Finally, I can say that this is all finished, even though it was basically finished before. I like to create more work for myself, but I'm really happy with the changes and modifications that I've made to this. This actually looks really good now. I've tried this on. Part of what happened when I redesigned this is the belly disc actually has dropped down slightly, but I felt that didn't really matter too much. My torso is a lot longer than my mannequin that I've been using, so this actually works out quite well. With the hips in place, there's not as much of a gap as there was before. There's probably about that much of a gap between the belly disc and the top of the hips, but I think that I can get away with that because the hips are going to be sort of just floating and connected just loosely to my undersuit. I don't think it really matters too much because they can move around and flex. So yeah, that's all pretty much done. But another thing I've just finally completed today, and this is something I've been talking about for a while, is the collar piece. So I've just spent the last the last half an hour just creating, I don't know if you can see that in there. I've basically just created little eyelets and hooks. And so you can just sort of jimmy it on and off, which is fine. It's not too bad. And there's like just little double pin hooks like that, and then on the neck ring there's just like a couple of eyelets, so that just sits on fairly nicely on there. It's quite snug, kind of just like clicks into place, which has worked out quite good, and it only just needs a little bit of flex to like pop them on and off, and that holds it perfectly. It's pretty strong. I don't know if that'll last. I don't know how durable that will be over time. It might break, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with that, so I can move on. So today I want to finish, I'd like to finish sorry about that. So today I'm going to finish the arms. At least I'm going to make a start. I'm going to try and finish one arm.
Just one.
How about that? I'll basically just use this part here as my base for the top of the arm, and I'm just going to create like a bit of a box channel, just a shallow box to basically just sort of go around the contour of my upper arm. I'll just rig up like a bit of a hinge here, and then I'll apply, oh that sun's bright. I'll add my little bracer thing here. Once I've got that basic construction done, then I can go on to detailing and add like the piston and stuff like that. So I don't really want to spend too much time on this. Certainly don't want to be putting in the same amount of time and effort as I did with the torso, but I mean, these parts are going to be less involved anyway. But yeah, I just want to kind of get this all sort of done. So that's basically where I'm starting and finishing with that. So I just got to fill
fill in all the bits. Fill in all the bits in between from the shoulder down to my wrist. But yes, that should be fairly easy. So I'm gonna get that. I'm not gonna drone on too much longer. I'm sure you got better things to do than listen to me harp on about the same stuff every time you watch my videos. But yeah, let's just try and keep it a little bit more short and sweet for you. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.